Good evening, and in spite of this week's threats to gag BBC employees by the Director-General Greg Dyke, we on Have for You shall continue to ensure that freedom of speech in the news this week. Thanks to a US Army food parcel, a young Afghan tucks into his first hot meal in months. In Portsmouth, a persistent double-glazing salesman convinces the captain that what his ship really needs is a set of patio doors. And seeking a reason for bin Laden's deep hatred of the world, psychiatrists find the turning point in a home video from his childhood. Hislop's team is Sky News political editor who once said, "Most days I think I can compete with BBC's Andrew Marr," which is why he was the first person we rang when Andrew turned us down, Adam Boulton. And with Paul Merton tonight is the daughter of a former Prime Minister who once walked out of a show because they made jokes about her mother, so for a couple of minutes at least, please welcome Carol Thatcher. Round one allows us the opportunity to begin the show with an opening round. Paul and Carol.
Oh, this is John Simpson, liberating Kabul, and they were so pleased that they're shaving themselves so they couldn't look like him.
Ah, this is the newsreader on Kabul telly that the capital had been liberated by the BBC.
But what was bizarre was the BBC had already liberated it 2 days earlier. They had 2 reporters in Kabul anyway.
Yeah.
In fact, our man, I think, liberated Kosovo before, Tim Marshall, so it was their
It was
turn.
a Sky man?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a Sky man, so...
Are any armies anything to do with this?
Do you remember the name of the BBC reporter who was there prior to John arriving?
His name was William Reeve.
That's right. William Reeve, just to prove that he was there, filed this report in Kabul the day before the troops arrived.
Was that John Simpson knocking at the door? He got carried away, didn't he, John? He got a bit carried away.
He did.
Hang on, he'd been wandering around for weeks disguised as a woman.
Yeah.
And I think this affected his thinking, because after all, we all know women are more effective as liberators, handbaggers and so on, don't we?
Right, I think you've just alienated 50% of the audience. So how are these locals celebrating?
They can fly kites now, which they weren't allowed to do before, and they can shave their kites, because the kites before had
to have a beard.
They had to have a beard to disguise the fact it was a kite.
And they could watch John Simpson liberating Kabul on television for the first time because televisions were banned.
TV, yes, and they also threw money in the air. This is at least how the Independent portrayed it. This is magically the Daily Express portrayed it, with 10 times more banknotes in the air than actually happened. This is the Express, this is the truth. So the television station started up after 5 years blackout. Who relaunched it then?
A woman who hadn't been on air for 5 years. She'd been...
Gloria Hannaford.
She'd actually been arrested by the Taliban. She had been arrested by the Taliban.
Gloria Hannaford's been arrested by the Taliban.
There was something else that opened up for the first time in 5 years as well.
It was cinema.
That's right.
And as a sign of liberation, no women were allowed to go at all. So, big changes there.
And what were they showing?
Harry Potter.
And the Philosopher's Stoning. No.
So what was the film? What was the film called?
It was called Ascent.
Was it?
Yeah.
I just didn't think you'd know that.
Are you trying to catch me out then?
Yeah.
What's it about?
Sorry.
Exactly.
It's about the Mujahideen fighting the Russians.
Really? Ah, I've seen that. It's the musical, isn't it?
Yeah.
Omar Sharif and Lulu. It's a
That's
marvellous
right.
film.
And why did the Mirror refer to Tony Blair as Tony Blair?
Is this a war question or
Yeah.
just thrown in for
Tony
fun?
Blair's our Prime Minister and he's looking after the war.
But it
Is he?
Yeah.
Have you misspelt the word tomorrow?
But he claims, or one of his spokesmen said, that's just the way he writes the word tomorrow. There aren't 2 O's there.
Yes, there are.
What orders do the RAF get? We're going to boom the enemy.
Yes, it is the liberation...
Our soldiers are going in.
It makes the language a bit camp, doesn't it? Oh, Osama bin Laden. You know what I mean?
And so on and so on. It is the liberation of Kabul by John Simpson and the continuing hunt for Osama bin Laden. According to intelligence reports, bin Laden is hiding in a 30-square-mile area, which is roughly the size of Bromley. So to be on the safe side, why not just bomb Bromley? In Pakistan, support for the Taliban is still strong, and people have been snapping up music tapes with lyrics such as, "Oh, Osama, please attack again. Your great deeds have already jolted Washington. Doobie-doo-wop-wop." Ian and Adam, your point of departure?
It's people bearing bad news about rail track.
There's Joe Moore and the ex-Stephen Byers.
Tom Windsor is the rail regulator.
So
Alistair
that's fine.
Morton, who said the government's damaged rail track. A red light. I think it's probably the red light for Byers. It's symbolic there, wasn't it?
Tom Windsor has said Byers was lying
Yeah.
and lied to the House of Commons, which is quite interesting because Tom Windsor gets on the same train as I do. That is the most
fascinating,
interesting thing about this particular story. Does anyone mind who runs Railtrack? Providing it's slightly better. And if they appoint Mussolini, that's fine with me.
Isn't he dead, Mussolini?
Yes.
Yeah, but he'd do a better job than the current lot.
Really?
Yeah,
Let's
much
dig
better.
him up!
Why doesn't Byers just resign? I mean, he's in the same bin as the wrong kind of snow, the wrong type of leave. Surely he's completely the wrong Transport Secretary.
Well, the line is that a previous government privatised the railways, which was unpopular, and the government's now done something popular by effectively taking them back.
Thank you, Adam. For enlightening me.
What's the new organisation going to be called?
Off-go.
It is 2 syllables.
Mingog.
Not those 2 syllables.
No train.
Very nearly new track.
New track.
Not NU, is it?
Yes, so
Oh,
it's
how lovely.
nut rack, in fact.
That was a torture of the Spanish Inquisition, wasn't it?
Are you a fan of rail travel, Adam?
I do use it. I've been known to use it. It's
Yes, we know you use it. You certainly look as if you're having a whale of a time here.
Every hour, perhaps every minute, television news organisations are boarding the roller coaster breaking news story. But you just show the images and tell the story before you know what's really happening. And if the pictures are dramatic enough, should you even try?
So how many times did you have to do that before you got such a perfect take?
I actually did it on 2 roller coasters. I did it about 10 times.
Good idea or bad idea in retrospect?
I thought it was a good idea.
Did it ever go out?
Yeah, it was a metaphor. It was,
Right.
it was actually a thing about
The roller coaster
of 24-hour
news story.
news. That's right. It was.
So you're on a roller coaster.
So I was on a roller coaster.
That's bad enough for Newsnight.
Well, actually, it was for a news conference in Barcelona, and we won Best Session. So
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
What was
right.
the Turkish entry like?
So Gordon Brown has been upset this week.
Parliament asked to see Gordon Brown. They said, could you come in and explain this? Which is pretty rude of Parliament.
Yeah, just...
So
we didn't go. You'll be glad to hear.
No, he turned it down. Quite right, too. He's got to swear at Tony Blair all week.
Well, no, he's his best friend now, apparently. He announced this week.
That was a press
No,
release.
he's in the past tense. Did you not notice that? The best friend I ever had in politics.
So is there a real rift between the two of them, Adam?
Well, I think there probably is, isn't there? Because one wants the other one's job.
And how were neighbourhood relations when you were in number 10?
Well, we didn't nick the next-door neighbour's house, but I don't recall my ma getting on with all of her chancellors of the Exchequer.
No, I don't remember that either. How is Nigel these days?
Probably not a good person to ask. Nigel
Right.
who?
I was
Jeffrey? Jeffrey Howe.
Yes.
Nigel who? Jeffrey Howe? There's a pattern.
This is, yes, the collapse of Railtrack and the renewed calls for the resignation of Stephen Byers. One senior minister has described his handling of the affair as a complete dog's breakfast, available incidentally on all intercity trains priced £8.95. As the Railtrack controversy gathered momentum, Stephen Byers insisted we need to concentrate on creating a railway system fit for the 21st century. Well, the 12th would be nice. So at the end of that round, the scores are like the number of people wanting to fly across the Atlantic, there being 2 on each side. In round 2, this show has at times been accused of ripping off other programmes' ideas, an accusation which is nothing short of justified. But this week sees a radical departure as we present our very own brand new format called, quite simply, Animal, Vegetable or Scotsman. Welcome back. So, Ian and Adam. Animal, Vegetable or Scotsman?
Go for the Scotsman.
Scotsman.
Any idea what that is?
I know this. This is an ostrich called Godzilla, which sounds silly, doesn't it? Who's the pet of a small boy, and the
In Romford.
In Romford. You see, there's nothing that Sky doesn't know. The ostrich broke out of its pen and went to the school to meet its owner.
Here he is. That's him on the way to Buster's school.
Oh, it was the small boy called Buster.
Yeah.
Has that man got a Mohican haircut? Where does he keep this ostrich then?
It is, well, it's actually in an animal sanctuary, but he broke out by opening a garden gate and wanted to reunite with his owner, so he made the journey all the way to the school. And
How did he know that the boy went to that particular school?
He normally does the school run, come on.
that was what was so extraordinary about the story. Of all the schools he could have gone to, he got the right one. How did Buster cope with it?
Oh, the ostrich is totally obedient to Buster.
Yeah.
So everybody else tried to catch it, and eventually the boy just said, Buster, sit.
Well, the ostrich is called Buster as well. This is terribly confusing. You've got a boy and an ostrich, they're both called Buster. Buster, your dinner's ready. Not you, you!
And the ostrich is called Godzilla. I got it wrong.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
And this story of an ostrich on the loose in Romford, Essex. In an attempt to subdue the ostrich, a tea towel was put over its head, at which point it was assassinated by American Special Forces. The ostrich, which was named Godzilla, is essentially a large chicken that doesn't fly, so perhaps Bruce Willis might have been a more appropriate name. Paul and Carol, animal, vegetable or Scotsman?
Vegetable.
OK, let's have a look.
So this is a cat
Well spotted.
with a large rock on its head.
It's a skull cap. It's an Israeli cat.
It's not a skullcap either. Fortunately.
Sponge.
Why would a cat have a sponge on its head, Ian?
Why would an ostrich have a tea towel on its head?
I'll give you a clue. It's a nicotine patch.
Does this cat have it from a beagle, smoking away?
No, it was actually hooked on 10 cigarettes a day. This is Jessie, the cat.
What do you mean it was hooked on 10 cigarettes a day? You give it 11 cigarettes, not for me, thank you. I've had enough.
No, it would chew dog ends.
I beg your pardon?
It would chew dog ends.
Dirty, dirty devil. Mind you, I suppose if you get lonely, you do anything.
Yeah. No, then moved on to picking up cigarette butts in the street.
Oh, no. No, I don't believe it.
Always the way, isn't it?
What's this cat's name?
Jessie.
Jessie the cat?
That's probably its full name, yeah. I'll just call it Jessie for short.
And which paper was this story in?
Oh, many papers, Ian.
No, tell us.
I can possibly
It was in the
list them.
Star,
It would
wasn't
take
it?
too long.
Hey, all right, hands up who's heard this story. Anybody who's
Yeah.
heard this story? Not one person. In your dreams.
100 people put their hands up just then.
So the cat went into a chemist's and said, I've got this awful problem. Yeah, I'm a talking cat, just get over it. I've got this awful problem. I'm picking up cigarette butts in the street. Give me a patch because I'm now on 10 a day. And behind him is an ostrich with a tea towel on its head. So have you got any Nurofen? I mean, this is a load of rubbish.
It was his owner that went into the chemist.
Oh,
didn't
you
it?
changed
Yes.
the story. He only goes into the chemist and he says what?
Can I have some nicotine patches for my cat?
Right.
And the chemist obviously
And was
says
this man
yes, certainly.
sectioned?
There was a little girl, no. True.
It's Not true at all. You've never even got a decent picture. It looks like a cat with a potato on its head. So is the cat all right now?
Very well, yes. She now apparently avoids ashtrays and even leaves the room when the owner lights up.
What, the little girl lights up?
This is Jessie the cat and her cigarette habit. Jessie's addiction was so bad she was chewing 10 cigarette butts a day, but if you cleaned yourself the way cats do, you'd want something to take the taste away as well. Ian and Adam, your call.
Should we try Scotsman again?
All right.
Bingo! You've struck Scotty. But who is he and what's he been up to?
He's the new First Minister of Scotland, called Jack McConnell. Mm-hmm. He admitted that he had an affair 7 years ago with a Labour Party employee.
Which was something of a scandal. And
well, the view was if he confessed about the scandal first, and everyone would say, all right, well, he's confessed about the scandal, he can be First Minister. On the other hand, had he been elected First Minister and the scandal had come out, he would have had to resign.
Is he trying to give up kilts? That's why he's got a nicotine patch on his head.
So what was their cover, the two that were having this illicit affair?
They were the Crankies.
No, they went swimming together. And what is Jack's wife's job?
Is she his secretary as well?
No, she's Director of Leisure Services for i.e. in charge of swimming pools. And finally in this round, Paul and Carol.
Animals.
Let's have a look. It is an animal, well done.
Is this footballers going on strike for more TV cash, whatever TV cash may be?
Is this elephant polo?
Elephants playing football, yes.
Right. Is this what they're going to put on when the strike starts next week? Because I'm all for it, really.
Yes. It's an elephant festival in Surin.
Where's that?
Thailand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Where they do other things apart from play football. Tug of war, they do, and they dance, elephants.
How do they dance?
Very well.
Do they dance to Perry Como?
With enough rehearsal, yeah.
What's their favourite Perry Como number? Don't look on your card, it's not going to be...
OK, they don't. I was lying.
Yeah. So for the last 11 years, this whole thing's been a sham.
Yeah.
I think we've heard enough. Get your coat.
Yes, this is the annual Elephant Football Festival. Takes place in Surin. This year's Elephant Football Cup draw produced a few successes. India play Africa again.
Did you do all that for the sake of that joke?
Which herd instincts mean at the end of this round-up, it's Ian and Adam who are leaders of the pack, ahead as they are 7-3. Round 3 is next, or at least round 4 is next. Round 3 is now. Paul and Carol. Your scary monsters are Mohammed bin Laden, Tessa the Tiger, Dennis Thatcher and Angie Hunter.
Mohammed bin Laden must be the brother of, I presume, is he your brother?
Not in any real sense, no.
Father.
Hang on, this is my specialist subject.
Right.
He's
Okay.
my dad.
OK.
Right.
I hope you're pointing at Dennis.
Yes, well, I was actually. Dennis used to work for an oil company. Angie Hunter's gone to work for an oil company.
Ah, the Tiger,
at a
Esso.
massively inflated salary.
Esso.
And the odd one out being?
Bin Laden.
Because he's the only one who's nicked a tea towel off the ostrich. So the tiger in the tank is the odd one out? No, he isn't. No, he isn't.
She's about to go and work for an oil company, but all the others have already been in the oil business.
Is the correct answer. Very good.
Oh, is it?
And, of course, your father used to be director of...
An oil company.
An oil company. He was recently photographed with someone who claimed not to know. That's Lady Victoria Harvey.
What, she didn't know who he was?
Other way round, he didn't know who she was.
Well, he knew what he thought of her, though, didn't he?
Yeah. The answer is that they've all worked for oil companies except Tony Blair's political advisor, Angie Hunter, who's left him for a new job with BP. Angie Hunter proved invaluable to Tony Blair because of her affinity with the voters of Middle East, According to The Observer, Angie's great strength is she understands the Daily Mail, so maybe she can explain what's funny about Fred Bassett. Having started out as a builder, Mohammed bin Laden fathered 54 children, although the estimate was only 23. Ian and Adam, your fun-loving criminals are Reggie Cray, Nicky Campbell, Justice Raymond Jack and Cherie Blair.
This is a gagging question. It's about people being told to shut up. Because Nicky Campbell said he was going to get Jimmy Young's job on Radio 2, and Greg Dyke has said, "We don't pay you to criticise me." Justice Jack, he stopped a paper revealing details of a footballer's private life. And that's Cherie Blair. She gagged the nanny. And Reggie...
Did an interview on telly before he died.
And some people thought he should have been gagged, but since he's a lovable old crim from the East End who never harmed anyone, except the people he did harm and kill, obviously. Anyway, he was allowed to go and talk to the BBC. Moving last interview.
And so who are you picking out as the odd one?
Reggie, because he wasn't gagged.
Is the wrong answer. But you are very much in the right area. I don't know if anyone else wants to leap in.
Nicky Campbell's the odd one out.
Is the right answer. Why?
Well, because I picked him.
The answer is they've all attempted to gag people apart from Nicky Campbell. And Cherie Blair, who's she been gagging?
Nanny.
Yes, for...
The sex game that went wrong.
No.
The sex game...
Neither of those things. She was trying to stop the former nanny from publishing her story in the Mail on Sunday. And what's Cherie been up to this week?
She did a presentation on the horrors of being an Afghan woman.
And there was a slip of the tongue in her speech about...
Yes, she said, "we in the government," which is wrong, because it should be "I."
My father never gave interviews. He always said,
to you?
it's better to keep your mouth shut and be thought a fool than open it and remove all doubt. It's quite a sound PR philosophy there.
Well, that's blown his cupboard in, isn't it?
Well, he was right, of course, in his case. The answer... No, the answer is that they've all attempted to gag people apart from Nicky Campbell. Reggie Cray left £210,000 when he died, but prevented his associates from speaking out by means of a clause attached to the will. That makes a change from an electrode attached to the genitals. Which dumb ignorance means that at the end of this abuse, it's Ian and Adam who need restraining, leading as they do 10-4. And so to the tangible relief of our final missing words round, a random cluster of headlines neatly butchered, some more or fewer from this week's guest publication, the hugely informative Sky News magazine. Adam, are you familiar with this?
No.
It's not that surprising, as it is the Canadian magazine of astronomy and stargazing. So, to your marks, 4. What with Osama bin Laden?
At home, as in cocktail party, no booze will be served and no address on the invite.
It's a new LWT show, an audience. I can't even know Rob Harris in the audience.
Doing up your cave with.
He's right. It's a new fitness video. Shape up and dance.
None of these things. Tea, bread and jam is the answer.
I was quite close with cocktails.
You were, but not close enough, sadly. Next, a Potter film is full of what?
Well, it's mistakes.
Clay, I thought it was.
Errors.
Bear in mind...
Gaffes.
It is a tabloid, yes. What does it feature? What kind of
Howlers.
animals?
Owlers.
Owlers is the right answer, yes.
People get paid to come up with this rubbish.
Yes.
I'm talking to you.
The show, yeah. The new movie is riddled with mistakes such as Harry's eyes changing colour, a scar suddenly disappearing, and Richard Harris being in it.
How does is it Harry Potter's eyes change colour? How on earth is that a mistake? It's not like boys of 12 years old, their eyes are constantly changing.
There's someone who's got a really tragic website who watches new films and then notices things that no one else in the audience notices. Apparently, he moves from one side of the dining table to another in a scene in Hogwarts Hall.
Yeah, but it's rubbish in this. It's a magic film.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not very interesting,
enjoyed it?
really.
Well,
I see what you mean, right.
Yeah, no, but...
Next, Bridget Jones' Girls Say What?
Yes to marriage.
The opposite, actually.
No to marriage.
Well, no to something else.
Commitment.
Divorce.
No to Euro is the answer.
Oh, sceptics. Bravo.
No.
Have we?
An inherited bias.
This headline, what's it about?
Women of Bridget Jones' age, i.e. 18 to 24, are 70% in favour of the No campaign.
So all women between 18 and 24 are now Bridget Jones, are they?
Apparently, yes, according to the tabloids.
I thought she was meant to be in her
I thought she was
30s.
older, yeah.
There she was. Well, there you are. Sorry,
Do you
but...
never question this stuff you have to read out? You never sort of think
we
to
simply
yourself,
present
I'm
it.
not reading that rubbish out. A cat that can't stop smoking, that's nonsense.
There'd be no show, Paul.
It'd be worth a go then.
And finally, an impressive new 8-inch what?
Asteroid.
Not
Lens.
asteroid.
Was it lens on a telescope?
You're in the right area.
Planet.
No, none of these things. It is, in fact...
It's an 8-inch planet circling Wolverhampton.
It is, in fact, Dobsonian.
What?
Yeah. No, it is actually a Newtonian on a Dob mount, which is probably why you didn't get it.
It's
Yeah.
a telescope, then.
It is a new telescope, yeah, which gets 4 out of 5 stars in their review.
All at once?
Hardly sufficient, yes. Which constant sniping means at the cessation of tonight's hostilities, this week's long shots are Paul and Carol with 5, whilst this week's direct hits are Ian and Adam with 13. Before we let them off the hook and into the bar, the sobering prospect of our caption competition.
Turkey inflates George Bush balloon.
I thought all that sort of thing went out with President Clinton.
Yeah,
didn't it? Yeah.
Who let that turkey in here? That's the president.
Bin Laden's not in here. Keep
Thank
your
you.
pecker out.
And as a special treat...
There we are, darling. Here's 30 quid. Keep your mouth shut. Say no more about it.
Thank you. And I leave you with news that after getting out of bed in a bit of a rush, Prince Charles wonders how Camilla's getting on in his trousers. An all-party select committee gives a cautious welcome to Parliament's new toilets. And another triumph for Britain as an ant from Watford reaches the top of a sprout. Good night.
There's more from the satire meisters next as the UK TV TARDIS takes us back another 2 years for an encounter with Will Self and Lord Deeds in Have I Got 1999 for You?